Bonjour everyone, Pantoufleee here today for a new leak video in which we're going to take a look at the brand new tier 9 Chinese premium tank, or maybe that is going to be tier 10, we don't know yet, that should be coming in Blitz within month. It's called the WZ-114 and it's basically a better version of the tank you are seeing on screen, available in the tech tree. This is the tank we're going to take a look at today. The WZ-114 is a tank, a tier 9 Chinese, that is already available in World of Tanks PC. And Wargaming likes to compare it with the regular Tiger, but I guess they did that because the tank was released for the Chinese New Year. It was the Tiger year, and therefore they had to make camo specialized, or at least linked to the Tiger. But what I can tell you about this tank is that it's basically a WZ-114 that has more armor and less firepower, so it's all a matter of choice. And if we take a look at how it reacts in battle, I feel like a lot of you are going to be disappointed. Of course, you got to take into consideration one thing, as always: the premiums that are coming from World of Tanks PC are going to be readapted to fit in the World of Tanks Blitz gameplay, which means that if a tank has, let's say, less DPM in World of Tanks PC, most of the time it's gonna have more DPM in World of Tanks Blitz. And of course, if they recalibrate this factor, because in fact on this tank without anything equipped you have 1.6k DPM, which is horrible. But in Blitz, if they, let's say, stack it up to 2.2, maybe 2.3, then yes, you are going to be one of the slowest DPMs at tier 9, but at the same time, you have one of the most armored tank, because the turret of that thing is featuring more than 300 millimeters of base armor. So it's a matter of choice. It's probably going to be the kind of tank with which you can brawl a fight against your opponents, but that will still require some support. Because obviously, if you are here to take some shots in your turret in order to bounce and to force your enemies to stick to their positions, you do not have the DPM if they rush you, which means that it's probably going to be an insane tank to play in platoon with. Now, there is another factor that is important to notice about this tank, if obviously World of Tanks Blitz keeps the statistics: the fact that it should have the exact same alpha damage as an IS-7, which means that you're going to get something like 490. And 490 is definitely something quite crazy, because obviously you can literally destroy 1/3 of the hit points of any tier 8, which means that every single tier 8 in the game is going to fear you if you play against them. And at the same time, if you play against tier 9 or tier 10, it can be impactful enough for them to think that, yeah, they are not going to rush you, they are going to try to temporize. But there is a part in me that thinks that this tank we saw is not going to be a tier 9, but rather a premium, and here is why. When you take a look at the Kampfpanzer currently, it's a tier 10 in World of Tanks Blitz, whereas when you take it into World of Tanks PC, it's a tier 9. Usually, tier 9 coming from World of Tanks PC are getting upgraded to fit the tier 10 playstyle of World of Tanks Blitz. And if it's the case, then the tank you just saw previously is going to totally outcome the WZ, sorry, the 113 that I need to find on the right tech tree. Because the main difference between both tanks is that this one is probably going to have more mobility, but the one you just saw is going to have a better gun, it's going to have a better armor, and obviously it's going to have a better role on the battlefield and better gun depression, because that's what the WZ and Chinese tank in general are lacking of. When you take a look at the 113, you see that you only have 6 degrees of gun depression, whereas on the one you saw, you have 10 degrees of gun depression. And 10 degrees of gun depression featured on something that has 300 millimeters of armor, it's going to be a more versatile IS-7, probably going to be quite strong. And to be honest with you, if you want to have a quick look at what the tank could look like in battle, just take your Type 71, equip it with the equipment that allows you to increase your gun depression to 10 degrees. And this is pretty much what you could expect, maybe minus the mobility, because I feel like the mobility of the Type 71 is going to be better. And if it's the case, once again, we're going to get something not original, a broken heavy tank that definitely fits the meta. Am I Excited for such a tank? Definitely no, because we already have a couple of pieces of tanks that looks the same and do the exact same thing, the Type 71 being the perfect example. But at the same time, it's always nice to see some changes and to see that we have the possibility of playing some different tanks, even if they have the same playstyle after all. Of course, if such a tank comes at tier 10 and therefore probably, and I'm saying probably because maybe it's not going to be the case, but probably broken, it's going to be in crates. It's not going to be in a free event, nothing like that. And even harder, I would tell you that if such a tank with such a massive potential is coming into the game, it's probably going to be like last year, and it's going to be the main Christmas event of the year 2024. So at the end of 2023. If it's a tier 9, it's probably going to be a better version of the WZ-114 1/4. And if it's the case, it's not going to change too much because it's not going to be broken enough to be fitting tier 10. And it's not going to be crazy enough to be the main contester of the tier 9 either. So it's just going to be a regular tank with which you can have fun if you play correctly. Which would be, in my opinion, a better choice, not to destroy the tier 10 matchmaking. And that's it. That's pretty much what you can expect from this little review. So personally, I gave my opinion, but I don't know what you guys think about what you are currently seeing and hearing. Of course, it's pure speculations because we do not have access to the tank statistics yet, but usually World of Tank Blitz is still trying to make tanks balanced. Sometimes they fail, but it happens rarely compared to World of Tank PC. So tell me in the comments, what do you think this new tank will look like? And if you want to know when the tank will get into the game, I feel like you can wait at least a good 6 months, because when Blitz posts announce a new tank, usually it takes a lot of time for Wargaming to introduce it after, because they still need to go in alpha test, beta test, testing it with regular players in regular matchmaking, making the last modifications, and then thinking about the strategy of release. So yeah, you get plenty of time. So hopefully you enjoyed. If that's the case, feel free to subscribe, like, and share. And personally, I'm gonna see you soon for a new video pretty soon. See ya.